Hi and welcome back to my channel. What's the word on everybody's lips right now? 2024. It's the cost of living, isn't it? Cost of living crisis. You hear it over and over. The price of everything at Woolies and Coles and everything going up. So today's video, I want to spend a little bit of time showing you how to pay off your debt much quicker. Before I do, let's have a short talk about money in general. How many times have you got a pay rise at work and your pay rise basically just gets soaked up into your everyday living and you don't save it, basically you just spend it? What I'm looking at here is that what I'm about to show you is about building and compounding your debt from one debt to the next debt to the next debt until you pay it off. So what I'll show you is a short video, short presentation about how to exactly do that. Alright, stay tuned, hang on. Okay, let's get started. First of all, of course, I must say, a few disclaimers here. I am not giving it financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. I'm not an accountant. I'm none of those things. I'm just a guy who's gone through this process, who's done a lot of research on it, to do with a lot of things, money, share trading, and all those sorts of things that I will share with you down the track. So just a disclaimer, I would go and see financial advice if you really need it. This is just a YouTube channel with some pointers. So let's start. As I said before, how many times over the years have you got a pay rise? And what have you done with it? Pretty much, your pay rise has come along, you've got it there, and then you've spent it plus some. So what's the plus some? Credit cards. We've all got credit cards, and so we often spend beyond our means. So to do this plan, it's very straightforward. I'll show you very soon. But you've got to have the mindset as well to be able to want to do it. So you're willing to ditch the credit card. That's the biggest thing. When we do this little exercise later, if you've got a credit card, it's probably going to be the first thing that you pay off, or a store card. Are you willing to make the sacrifices? Now, when I talk about the sacrifices, as I've said before, what about your pay rise? So I'm not asking you to stop spending. I'm not asking you to cut corners, to give up things. What I'm saying here is the very next time you come across a pay rise, for instance, use that money and put it onto this plan that I'm about to show you as well. So there's very little sacrifice, really. Do you need all those trinkets, all those little bits and pieces that you buy every payday, from payday to payday, your coffees, your cigarettes, all those sorts of things? Can you sacrifice them, give them up, and use that money towards this plan on paying it off, your debt off a lot quicker? Are you willing to spend the time on the budget? It's not very hard, fairly straightforward. If you get paid fortnightly, monthly, whatever it is, you'll just spend that short amount of time getting online, paying things off as you go. Okay, little exercise. I want you to, if you get paid fortnightly, probably try it for a month. Write down all this information, the date that you spend the money, the item that you spend it on, and the amount. Now, the reason I ask that is it's quite revealing how often you repeat things on there: junk food, takeaway, the newspaper, coffee, all those sorts of things. You can see how quickly it adds up, especially if you use cash. It's quite easy to get onto your bank account and look at your electronic transactions, but when you actually use cash, a lot of the times, if I asked you at the end of the week, what did you spend it on, you'd probably go, don't know. So that's a good little exercise to do. Why budgets fail? Sometimes they're too complicated. You've got to get onto your websites and apps and all those sorts of things, and you're forever keying things in that you buy. People give up. It doesn't add up. They get to the end of the fortnight and all of a sudden they've run out of money and they don't know where it went. There's no commitment. They really don't want to put in the effort. And then, of course, unexpected expenses come along. Car breaks down, whatever it is. So here's a couple of examples. This is typically how people live. They'll go through their pay, they'll get to the end of the pay cycle, and they've actually got less than they started with from their pay. So where does that extra $65 come from? Usually the credit card. And then you got this example here where you get to the end of the pay, you've got $195 left, or you should have, but you're not sure where it went. This is a good little exercise here. You'll find this on Microsoft. So if you've got a PC with Microsoft, you'll find this is a free product on there. Just to typically throw around bits and pieces on their amounts into loans and see how fast you can pay them off if you pay the extra amounts. An example here is you've got this $5,000. You can see here's a 5-year loan. They've paid it off in the 5 years, 2011. The question is, what happens if you put an extra $50 or whatever it is on as an extra payment? Let's try the $50 amount. And you can see there that your interest has gone from $1,374 down to $800. And you've also paid it off how many years early? Okay, just by that simple thing, one little pay rise, that's all it takes. You've probably heard the term pay yourself first. Many years ago, someone wrote a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. Basically, it was he'd pay himself one piece of gold before he paid everyone else. And the theory of the whole book is that basically if you pay yourself and treat yourself like you're a bill, then you'll always find the money to pay all the other bills. And we see it all the time. Like your car breaks down, where do you get the money from? You figure it out, don't you? Okay, so and you can see there, by saving that $50 there, you'd have $1,300 for the year. All right, so teach your children is very important. I know even today, when I was at school, they didn't teach anyone about money. And the same goes for today. You don't see money management taught in schools for whatever reason. But I think it's really important that you teach your kids, get them involved in your budgeting. Here's a little plan I call the 10% rule. Now, the 10% doesn't have to be 10% of your income. It could be the $50. It could be your pay rise, whatever it is. But I'll give you some examples. So what I want you to do is write down in the left column all your debt. Then I want you to write how much you owe on each one of those debt, and then the minimum monthly payment. Now divide the minimum monthly payment into the amount you owe, and you'll come up with a ratio, as you can see there. Once you've done that, I want you to put them in order, from lowest to highest. Now you're going to start concentrating. In this case here, it's the store card. So the first thing you're going to start paying off is your store card. Now, what actually happens is people pay off their debt. So in this case, $15 a month. Once that card's paid off, if they ever pay it off, that $15 goes where? Nowhere. They usually just spend it. It goes back into the pot. So in this case here, what we're going to do is when that debt is paid off, that $15 is going to go on to the next one, which will be your personal loan. Now you'll also add your 10% or your pay rise, whatever it is. So in this case, you'll see that 10% is $137. So what we're going to do is add that $137 to the store card, so to the 15. Now, here's how it would look if you just paid off those things without doing this plan. So you can see there all your dates that you pay it off. Now we're going to add those two together, 15 and 137 for the store card. And then you can see here just how many years you can pay off that card early. And you can imagine how much interest you're saving. And as you can see down the bottom there, your interest saves $190,000. You can see if you own a home, and in this case, fairly cheap home, $180,000, you've paid that house off in 10 years early. Now I want you to give some thought to that. Rewind the video, watch it again, do the plan for yourself. Let me know in the comments how you did. Thanks for watching.